You're listening to Turi Writer's She Said What podcast. I'm Turi, along with Marcy Persky. A famous playwright once said, "No problem in the world is insoluble given a large enough plastic bag." But you could also say, there's no problem in the world insoluble given a long enough extension cord.
Here's a problem you don't have. My bra is full of hay and it's really itchy.
I don't have that problem, the bra full of hay problem.
I just came in from feeding the goats. And I tried to shake it out before I came back here. And you wouldn't believe how much came out. But obviously there's some in there still.
What do you roll in the hay with the goats? How come hay is
no, you lift it up and carry it into the goat yard and throw it in their feeder.
Wow. If this were my situation, I think I'd wear one of those rain ponchos to go out there so that it would just keep everything off the cleavage. That's what I would do. What are you going to do?
Shake out my bra and take a shower as soon as we're finished. It usually doesn't go down the front of my shirt, but I gave them a little bit more than usual because we're having wonky weather and I feel bad for them.
So you don't like to get out there and bring them the hay when it's raining. So when it's not, you give them extra.
Well, it makes my hair curl.
The rain?
Yes, the rain.
I thought maybe it was the hay in the bra that makes your hair curl. Would make my hair curl to have hay in my brassiere.
So itchy.
Well, the beauty of this podcast is I can just stand by while you take off both your outer layers. Who's going to know?
This dog right here with her head on my lap.
Oh.
So I was reading the news this morning, and a certain celebrity just had a baby and named it Brother.
Does it have a sister? Does it have a sister or another brother?
No, it's the only child. His brother.
Is this aspirational?
Why do people do this?
They're aspirational. They would like to have a brother.
Well, what if they don't?
Maybe they're religious and they like the idea that the kid's going to be. No.
Believe me, they're not. But I can't imagine. Why don't you just. What's wrong with Fred and Joe and Ben and
But we're
Bob
talking
and
about it.
Tom?
That's why. Because if they named their kid Annie, we wouldn't be talking about it. But
we're not giving their name out, so it's not really giving them any publicity.
Well, all of our 2-3 listeners are now going to Google celebrity baby name brother. And so there you are. I forget what I was going to say. I'm getting yet more communication from the co-op that we joined something like 8 or 9 years ago that has yet to open.
Yeah.
And now so they keep sending these newsletters. I don't know if this has never happened to us before. Perhaps it's happened to you, where you join something that's a work in progress and they promise you that you're helping this thing open. It doesn't matter if it's a coffee shop or a co-op or a charity or whatever it is. You join thinking, well, good for the community and good for the neighborhood, and I want to support it. So here's my contribution. And then you wait for the thing to happen. And then it doesn't. And you wait for years. And they send out emails. This is our great progress. We have a grant for this. We've hired a that. We are working hard to rehouse the houseless neighbors who have taken up residence in the parking lot next to our site. This has been going on for 9 years, maybe 10. They asked for volunteers to do different things. I said I would write stuff, which I immediately regretted because I thought I'm going to have to write one of these emails that goes out that says we haven't done anything. Hang in there. But it was worse than that because they didn't even really ask me to do that. They had an art walk in the neighborhood. And lo and behold, this art walk was different. This isn't artists putting out their stuff. We're going to pay a bunch of artists to paint big square canvas murals. It's a great idea, actually, sponsored by the local merchants. And then we'll hang them up in a place that could really use some brightening up. In this case, making green space in a place where nobody in their right mind wants to be anyway, no matter how green it is. But we'll get to that in a second. So all of the artists are in front of the different businesses that are sponsoring their various canvases. And, of course, somebody's in front of this co-op that still hasn't opened. And
I ask you a question?
they're so nice there. You want to be nice to them, but at the same time, you're really angry because you sent them a fairly large sum of money 10 years ago, and as far as you can tell, they've done absolutely nothing with it.
Is there a big happy mural outside the funeral home, though?
I don't think there is a funeral home in my neighborhood.
Too bad. That would be ironic.
Yeah, I wonder what they would sponsor.
It
Flowers,
sounds like they're not sponsoring
flowers.
right now.
There are some establishments with some pretty strange themed murals, I'll tell you that.
Did you make one?
No, these are professional artists, which also makes me wonder
Yeah.
because
I was gonna say
some professional artists, you look at the thing that they did and you think, did you go to school for this? How far in debt are you for this? How are your waitress skills?
I could throw old boxes and say, how much can I get for these preschool art drawings for my kids?
Well, you could probably get about as much as the things we saw in the Art Walk are worth, a lot of them. So the
Ugh.
director of the co-op is there, or one of the directors, and I just want to rip his face off. But then he explained to me, I said, why? Why are you not open? Why? It's been over 10 years. Why am I getting emails every month, cheerful emails telling me I can buy a t-shirt to celebrate the co-op that isn't open yet? Why are you selling hats and no food? But
They're making meth.
at least I would get some return on my co-op dollar if they were making meth.
True.
But no, I think there are other places in my neighborhood where that's for sale, not at the
I hope
co-op.
not.
Oh, I'm pretty sure in my neighborhood, but not at the co-op. So he had an explanation, and there's nothing worse than working yourself up into a fit of righteous indignation and then finding out you're angry at entirely the wrong people. I hate that.
So who are you supposed to be angry
The
at?
city of Chicago. The city of Chicago, apparently, and the utility, the electric utility, which approved their permit and then decided they'd made a mistake.
Oh, geez.
They approved the permit to come off of an existing electrical pole, and then they decided that, whoops, no. Instead, they have to dig up the whole street and run the current from somewhere else underneath the street.
Isn't that something they should be letting the co-op members know?
They let us know too many things. For all I know, they've let us know that. I'm just now I see their like every month their newsletter, and I'm like, what are you? Why? Just don't even bother me unless the headline on your newsletter is "We are opening." Just do not bother me.
So now who are you mad at the city?
Yeah, well, this has something to do with how they get their power, right? Commonwealth Edison is the electrical company. They are literally underneath the CTA tracks that runs on electricity. How I mean, they used to be the station. They have the old station building as the co-op. So how hard can it be to get electricity into a building that used to be the station for the train that runs on electricity? How hard can that be? Nobody asked me, but if they had cooperatively asked me, I would have said, just run an extension cord. Because that's my solution
generator.
To a lot of things is to get an extension cord.
I got an email from my electrical company yesterday.
Yeah?
Telling me that I use too much power between 4 and 7.
Well, I guess those socks will just have to wait to go into the wash.
Well, I don't do laundry between 4 and 7. I don't know what they're talking about because almost everything that we have here runs on propane. There's like TV sets that are, modern, low power TV sets. I have a ceiling fan on. I think it's the goats must be doing something. It's the goats are partying, inviting all their friends over. You need to get the goats
to be
having a rave.
Like the Flintstones, where they attach them to a little wheel and let them go around and around.
Kevin plays tetherball around the trees. So I mean, they could hook it up to the tetherball.
Yeah.
But yeah, they sent me I'm guessing they sent them to everybody.
Can you call up your power company and say, I got this note. Would you clarify and explain?
I answered it and I said, it's the goats. So that was their answer.
That's a good answer.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what they're talking about.
Very odd. So the other thing that I was going to mention was in regards to this art walk and the art that they were making. Yeah. they're making this art for a green space, which they have constructed. It's the bike path and a walkway underneath the train tracks. I don't mean like crossing under the train tracks. I mean, you're supposed to go for like 2, 3 miles with the CTA thundering 20 feet above your head.
And have a picnic.
Yeah. That's exactly what they have this intention that, and there's a wall up quite reasonably because the only thing that backs up to these CTA tracks is the cemetery for obvious reasons. They don't care how loud the train is. And somehow the wizards of Chicago got it in their head that what we will really love, despite the fact that we have parks all over the place, what we really need is an opportunity to lounge underneath the disgusting, filthy CTA tracks.
And stuff like falls down on top of you.
It's revolting. I mean, you're apt to find somebody's spittle in your macaroni salad. Why would you do that?
Yeah, because it's a city.
And so
that's why we don't live in a city out here.
I mean, you ride your bike there to get off the busy street. If it's rush hour, you don't want to be on the safer. It's disgusting, but it's safer. There are a couple of little play areas, but I think really they're just set up for deaf children because nobody in their right mind with all the other parks to choose from. It reminded me of, we have a house, as you know, in California with the little apartments next to it, and we had to have the stairs rebuilt because they were rotting away of the apartment. And the guy who built the stairs did some weird thing underneath them where he finished it off, and he was really proud of himself for this fancy concrete that I could tell was going to break in 15 minutes. And he said to me, and you could have a little cafe table down here. And I said, why would I want to put a table underneath my tenant's staircase when it is literally 4 feet away from my backyard? It's one thing if you live in a New York City apartment and you have to make everything do 5 things because that's kind of a thing in New York.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have closets, so things are hung up on your bathroom ceiling, and people have tables that turn into beds, basically. You sleep on your
why I couldn't have
dining table.
Lived there.
It's all very acceptable. That's the culture. So I could understand if somebody said, hey, you know, you could put a table out on this fire escape. You'd be like, okay, cool. I'll put a table out on the fire escape in New York. But here you tell somebody, you put a table out on the fire escape. They're like, are you kidding me? You know how many pigeons will fight me for my dinner? Why would I do that? In New York, you're just accepting that you will fight the pigeons. That's the life you lead. But we have options here. This is not.
And we fight cows. So.
Yeah, well, you have to walk in cow dew, and I don't. But this is my problem, that people are advising and building and constructing spaces that, as far as I can tell, are just stupid. They're just stupid, and that co-op I'm starting to think is just stupid, and I paid money for something it's going to be like the Sword and the Stone. Once every 5,000 years, there's somebody who can get it together and pull it out and use it. And they ask you, like, they keep sending you these surveys. What would you like to see in the co-op? And I write back things like food.
I would just say a co-op.
A co-op, yeah. Open is my answer to everything now. What would you like us to be considering in our long-range plan? Opening.
This is Cow Punch Rodeo weekend out here. And there are cowboys everywhere. You can't miss seeing cowboys.
Wait, they're riding around your town on horses?
Yeah, they're everywhere. It's a big deal.
So nobody drives. They just ride their horses around your town.
Well, no, they drive too. But there's just a lot of cowboys. There's a huge number of cowboys that are in town right now.
Well,
looking to cause trouble.
Has this not struck you that this is the answer to your cow problem?
Yeah, except that our cows belong somewhere.
Right. We'll get the cowboys to move the cows to where they're supposed to go.
Yeah, okay. Good idea. I can tell them that they can then go eat at your co-op.
No, I would come right down there. I'd be like, hi, I baked these chocolate chip cookies to the first cowboy who can move these cattle to where.
Cookies.
Yeah.
Yeah, I bake cookies.
Oh, nobody has to know. You can just go get that crap out of the freezer compartment. What do they know? They're cowboys. They can't taste anything. They smoke too much.
That's true, too.
And
or they
chew. Yeah. It seems to me that if you did chew tobacco, absolutely everything you would ever eat would taste like tobacco. No?
It's the grossest thing ever. And just about every other guy up here has that big jaw in his side of his mouth. Their teeth are like all brown. I'm like, that is so attractive. That is so. I wish my man did that.
Thanks for listening to the Turi Writers She Said What podcast. Since you've made it to the end, you might want to know that my book, She Said What? A Life on the Air, is not only available in print, but now also in complete audiobook form, narrated by me and available on Audible.